Adam.
Hi.
Hi, listeners.
What's up, listeners?
Today we are talking about a problem.
We're talking about a problem that everybody goes through, no matter if you're a business owner or not a business owner or whatever.
It's pretty universal.
Pretty universal. Probably even animals go through it, and I bet even plants. If I know how our plants act in the studio or at home, they deal with this as well.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about ups and downs.
The ups and downs of life, but more specifically, how do you, as a business owner, operate when, things are going really well, or when things are, let's not even say going bad, let's say you've got more challenges in front of you.
Yeah, it's hard for me sometimes to think back to working at my office jobs,
yeah.
Before starting my own business. And
did you block it out?
No, I just have a horrible memory.
Oh.
Horrible.
Okay. So it has nothing to do with just trying to block it out.
No, it wasn't that bad. But I feel as if I didn't really have those ups and downs.
There's not as many.
It was pretty just consistently bland.
Gotcha.
And in a way, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, it was kind of nice to just have something that was very...
Yeah, you go in there for 8 hours a day,
consistent.
Come out.
Yeah. And then you start your own business and you have some pretty high highs and low lows.
Right. You can. And so I think what made me think of this topic for today and then run it by you and get it approved by the official topic approver.
I love having that title.
Is I was just thinking of it's summer or it's, school's out. So the moms who we work with now have, I shouldn't even say moms, the parents we work with have a bunch of other responsibilities that they don't normally have during a given year.
Yeah.
Inside of our Diamond membership, that's been a conversation that we've been having recently is people talking about, well, how do they manage their time differently now that that's going on? And we've talked about how, depending on who your customers are, that summer or the time of year or can really affect how much people are signing up to work with you or
right.
how much availability you have to hire somebody or, is your whole team trying to go on vacations and things like that.
And I remember when I was a freelancer, I was working with bigger companies, and the end of the year, if their fiscal year was a calendar year, then my Decembers were so much busier than I thought. I remember thinking, oh, because of the holidays, we stacked so many holidays back to back, I'm sure it'll be slow, and it was always so crazy. And so I think it's interesting if you've been in business longer than a year, when you can start kind of pinpointing those even anticipated ups and downs. Right. It's nicer. We still forget though.
Definitely. Every year we
forget about our ups and downs.
Memorial Day weekend, we had something. I forget what we were. We had. No, I was.
Had a shoot.
Yeah, and getting a hold of talking to people was just impossible. It seemed it felt like on our side that everybody in the world was just
yeah,
I'm not working.
Well, and the older we get as a business and our clients age as well. We all have, I talked to Bethany from Primarily Pure about this. We were texting once when basically we were saying as we've scaled together, we both have the ability to take those random holidays off now, whereas before I think we were just hustling 24/7.
Yeah.
And so I think we're seeing that even with not just our clients who are parents, but it's oh, actually I'm taking a long weekend.
Yeah.
And that's different than year one.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you, I'll ask you some questions about this topic.
Lovely.
Does that sound good?
Perfect.
So summers are typically a little slower for us. They have been historically.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because we like to sit outside and not be working all the time. And when it's winter and dark and cloudy, we just
might as well
work all the time because who cares? So I'm not saying that summers just have to be slower, but for us they have been. We're not slower, but we just noticed the pace of all that changes. So tell me about how you handle that as a creative person, as somebody who's managing their time, their workflow. What does that look like for you?
That's a good question. We were really full. I'll avoid the word busy, just because busy, I think, brings about this idea of like being frantic or unorganized. But is it unorganized or disorganized? Why do I not know that?
I think that's correct.
Either? I don't know.
I think that's
Producer
it.
Michael, let me know. So we were very full as far as production and client load goes in the spring. And so I was booking projects to start in June. Mm-hmm. And so there was sort of a lull. Like we went to New York, we went to Indianapolis, I visited my family in Illinois, and I knew that that 2-week span was happening, so I booked a lot of work to start right after Memorial Day. So right now it doesn't feel slow, even though I think if I wasn't doing that, if I hadn't done it, it would be a little bit of a lull. As a creative person, I'm always thinking of, if there's slower periods in our business, I can just spend more time on other things. Like, I'm never at a point where I have nothing to work on.
Right.
And so I even took that May sort of lull to our advantage of making our own website. Right. We redid our own website. And so it's just kind of getting, to me, a little bit more intentional with making plans to fill spots where will be not as hectic.
Yeah.
And now, because summers are slower for us, like, we don't have a ton of workshops or classes scheduled. We'll probably throw a party. The attendance,
people don't attend.
The summer attendance for events are really low. Yeah. Oh, wait. Okay, what is it, Michael? Is it disorganized or unorganized? They're both adjectives that refer to states of messiness. If something is disorganized, it's used to be organized, but it isn't anymore. If something's unorganized, it was never organized in the first place, like the garbage in a dumpster. That is so interesting. I had no idea. Okay, I'll remember that. I'm imprinting it in my brain.
And
back to
that's the kind of cool stuff you can just learn if you listen to this podcast.
What if we shifted this whole podcast to just be like things we
layman's
say
terms,
incorrectly, but we clarify.
Just define it,
So yeah, it's kind of like, to me, it's like Tetris. It's like, where do you want to give and take? Where do you want to fit perfectly? Where are you willing to make sacrifices or compromises to achieve the ultimate goal?
Right.
I'm still thinking about Tetris as I say all this.
Yeah. To eliminate the line, and if you use that like 4-bar, the bar perfectly. One perfectly,
yeah, it's like, are you building it up? Anyways, that's like the only game on my phone I've ever played. That's false, but that's okay. You've had a couple of moments.
I
forgot. Tetris is the only one that I like to admit I played.
There was that one time where we were hanging out at myself, you, and your sister were hanging out, and you two were playing like the same game. Yeah. But it was that one with the
dots.
Yeah, but it would like make you nervous while you were playing it.
And
the two of you were just like sitting on it.
While we keep mentioning other games that I've played, I've actually only played probably 5 games on my phone before.
But one is the wrong answer.
One is the wrong, yeah.
And I'm not going to stand for that kind of those kind of falsehoods coming out of this broadcast.
I'm sorry, my brain is just disorganized.
It once disorganized.
It once was organized.
I think that. Well, tell me about this. Mm-hmm. So sometimes there is, or you go through a point where there's a downtime in work, but other times you go through, and let's even say let's just talk about it as far as clients are concerned, mm-hmm. not like things you're doing in the world or creative projects that you can take on or any of those things. But clients, sometimes you have a downtime, and so you have to figure out, what do I need to do? How can I fit some things in? Some things that we've done have been, with the clients who hired us most frequently, we created a different type of relationship with them, mm-hmm. where it allowed us to more quickly and easily jump in and start working on things with them. So it helped us kind of like manage the ups and downs of just doing project work. And we rolled that out with just some of our closest clients. It's not
Yeah.
like a thing we do with everybody.
More like a little more on demand, but
Yeah.
organized.
Right. The other thing would be there are some times where there's a lot of inquiries coming in and, you know, where there's a lot of work to be done. There's almost like unlimited things that people could be doing. It feels like that.
Yeah.
We just need more people to help. We just have more stuff. How do you handle that as a creative person, as like in the same...
For sure.
How do you manage it? Or how do you like bite? How do you explain to people listening kind of how you work through that project load?
When things are already booked or before?
You talked about playing Tetris during a lull. Talk about playing Tetris during an anti-lull.
Got it.
Or what's an opposite of a lull?
Surge.
A surge.
When things are really busy, I'm going to just say busy. Who cares?
Surging.
When things are really surgy. When things are very Sergio. That's a name.
Surgeon.
I'll approach it from an inquiring mind who wants to work with us, and then a client who we've booked to work with. If a lot of inquiries come in at once, which we've been getting a lot of steady inquiries since we've got our new site, which is great.
Yeah.
Website should work.
That was the point.
I really don't, I know this sounds, I don't know, fluffy. This sounds kind of head in the clouds, but I really don't try to push these people into booking work with us.
Right.
Because if I were to like switch something inside of me to like sell and book, I can. And I don't think that that's always a good thing. And so even if it feels like, ooh, this is fun. There's a lot of inquiries coming in. I should just book everything. I can later regret how quickly I book things, how I stack the work, even the types of people that we work with.
That's like the times we've been most frustrated in our own business have been when we over aggressively, not even like that we signed clients too quickly or something, but that we stacked the work too much.
Yeah.
It's almost like salesperson us did a really good job, but the factory worker us was like ticked off at how much work their boss was telling them to do.
So I've made it a very strong challenge for myself to approach those introductory conversations very chill. And it's not a manipulative thing. It's just me saying, I like to have these calls with you to get a better sense of your personality and for you to get to know mine. I'm not trying to, because for a while I was booking projects in like 24 hours. Like someone would inquire, I would sell it, they'd book.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just too fast for us. And
we learned that it was too fast. It didn't, at the time, it didn't seem like a problem. It was just like, oh, we like to meet people and get going. But we would later find, that's like impulse shopping a little bit. And when you impulse shop, a number of times later, you either regret or you want to move in a different direction, or
and I
it just
think
wasn't
that
as
moving
thoughtful.
it in different directions is actually the biggest regret.
Yeah.
It's like you can meet someone and they say they need this thing, but if you would have taken a little bit more time, you could have pivoted them in a better way.
Right.
So that's how I approach booking clients. I also I give an incentive, sometimes financial, sometimes not, if you want to book it out in advance. So if someone's not super in a huge rush and they're looking for some incentives, then if you're willing to book it, 30 to 90 days in advance of our next available date, then I will do that.
Yeah.
And that really gets people to consider, like, is it the budget thing or is it the time frame thing? The quality is
am I
always
in a
gonna be
rush?
there.
Sometimes people are.
We're not going to change how we make things, so it's really just time and money.
Yeah.
For our current clients, I'm really clear about, all of our deadlines for any kind of bigger projects are already set in stone. So I block out time and in mine and Eric, our designer's schedule, if design work has to be done so that we're not overbooking that time. So it's just sort of like a placeholder, even if it shifts from week to week. So that I'm not stacking like so many projects in a 2-week span or a 1-week span. making sure that our project management system is up to date, bringing in other people on our team to help with project management. And really what I have found lately is in this type of business, a lot of clients want things, which is fine because that's literally why we're in business. But I really try to push back on making sure that they've provided all of the content that we need first.
Right.
So yes, I get that, one of our best clients wants, this thing created. I just like to make sure that, I don't rush unnecessarily while they're working to get, or I guess what I mean is making sure that we're not rushing unnecessarily while they could have been helping to get that content done anyway. So
yeah, it's like we can't. If somebody wanted to pay us to just do all of the branding and everything for them and they just coast and don't have input, that's just not the type of clients that we normally work with.
Like for an example, we're putting together a website for this collective group that's local, and they want to add a blog to their site. And it would have been easy for me to be really accommodating, which I will be, and to say like, oh yeah, we'll get started on that, but we need blog content.
Yeah.
So I was able to say, go ahead and write 3 to 5 posts to start so that we can use that as, in the mock-up and to make better decisions on how it's designed. And it took them a week or so.
Yeah.
So it's, it would be easy for you, if you're listening to this, who provides a service, to feel like you need to like jump at every request, but sometimes it does require a little bit of assessment and homework. So,
Truth. So you have times where you have to play Tetris with your schedule, production a little bit when you're slower, or maybe you have less projects in front of you.
Yeah.
But you have to do the same thing when you have a lot, and both are important. Yeah,
and I think the thing I'm working on the most right now in year 5 is, yes, we have ideal timeline. We have ideal timelines set. So like a website can take X amount of weeks.
Right.
That's the best possible scenario. And I need to be better about almost presenting an alternate reality to a client before starting or in the process. So it's like when we all go out to eat and you're like, oh, it's going to take 5 minutes to get to the restaurant. But that's like when it has taken the the quickest
one time
it
took you 5 minutes to drive there.
Because it was
every
like
other
1
time
in the
it takes 15.
Yeah. And so I really try to think about, right now in my career, I'm thinking about how to constantly from the beginning almost like pad or bumper bowl the project.
Bumper bowl the project. Provide bumpers.
Yeah. I like to say bumper bowl. That's how I relate.
If you like to say it that way, then let's say it how you want to say it.
Thank you. Because it's never good to just continually it's never good to continually assume that a project's going to take the quickest it ever has.
Yeah.
So
that's not very
good.
Wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no, I like that. I think one of the things that you seem to be the person who works really hard at playing Tetris with our schedules. I am always trying to learn or change whatever needs to be learned or changed when we're way too busy or when we're way too not busy or somewhere in the middle.
You mean like figure out why?
Figure out like, why is this happening? How can we do a good job with this? Do we need to change something? And I think one of the things that I've learned has been there are times, there's just natural rhythms to everything where there's times of the year or times of your business where it's okay to have, like, you can't sprint a marathon, and being in business isn't about just putting forth heroic effort every day to get everything done or to get 18 hours worth of work done in 8 hours or to work 18 hours every day. You'll burn out and you'll be done.
Yeah.
And so I think there's times where you have to figure out, how do I get out of that, or how do I help that not happen all the time? Or thinking, gosh, I'm like a little bit, I think about some of the times in our business where we've like taken time to work on for personal reasons, whether it was working on health, spending time with family, or when something's going on, we're like, oh, we're going to go spend extra time outside of the business.
Yeah.
And doing that when business was busy, and then finding times where business is slow and thinking, I should like schedule my like spend extra time on my own health.
Yeah.
During times when the business is offering it to me.
For sure.
I think that's so, you see that with retail companies who sell a ton of stuff during the winter. Or, I think of, you just think of so many companies during the summer where like one of our clients, Pursuit, works with a lot of weddings. And so during April, May, June, July, it's like their busy season.
Yep.
So it's just different. It's just, I think you just got to be okay with it. I think you can learn from it and be smart. We should learn, we don't need to make huge financial expenses during the summer.
Yep.
And in the month of December, everyone's going to be doing holiday stuff. In the month of the first week, the month of May and June, people are wrapping up school and, starting summers, and that's okay.
For sure.
But yeah, I think about like just getting us understanding your rhythms, understanding the cycle of the whole thing is key.
It is. For the tiny business owner who's wearing many hats, working when others are out at happy hour, and trying to make their dreams become a reality, you are one of us. It's why we started the Diamond membership. Right now, as you're listening to this, it is $210 for the entire year. And when you sign up, you get access to basically these themed lesson capsules. We call them capsules. In each capsule, there's 12 lessons surrounding that theme. You get access to a live webinar that takes place at the end of each month and a live Q&A session with Adam and I. You also have access to our Facebook group where people can ask questions and get recommendations. We love supporting everyone in it. And so if you're interested, if you're a small business owner, freelancer, thinking about starting a business, we would love to have you. You can find out more on our website under the resources tab. The other day we were talking about, actually it came up because you made coffee one day and you put it in this plastic cup.
Yeah, we were taking a road trip.
Mug. Yeah.
It was a traveling coffee mug. Let's say that.
Yeah. It had like one of those traveling tops.
A cap.
Yeah.
I think is the technical term.
It's not like nice. It's just like lid. A hole at the top.
Right.
And it reminded me of being a kid and going to my friend's house across the street, and they would serve all their like high C in these
I hope their parents aren't listening to this.
They definitely are not. These plastic cups.
Right.
And it would taste like the plastic cup.
You didn't like that?
Your coffee tasted like plastic, and I got so angry.
Yeah. No, I really didn't like it either.
Yeah,
you kind of were making a bigger deal about it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Allie, come on!" And I tasted it, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't good."
Horrible, because your coffee's so good. So we started talking about
we need to find because the other thing that happens. So this is just insight into our marriage and the things that we struggle with on a daily basis.
Yep.
We sometimes drive, and you don't like using the travel mugs. So you use
I just bring a regular
normal mug.
Yeah.
But
I know a lot of people do this.
Definitely. I don't think you're the only person.
Good.
But it sometimes gives me a little anxiety about...
Because you're such a neat freak.
I'm a neat freak. But it gives me a little anxiety of like...
I mean, it makes sense. Could spill.
It's kind of bumpy. We got some potholes going on around our streets.
For sure.
So anyways.
Yeah, so
I was like, we got to find a travel mug that's good enough so that you stop using the normal coffee mugs and it doesn't ruin the flavor.
Yeah, so we texted our friend, Ben Blake, who works for La Marzocco.
Right. And then he was, shout out to Ben, but he was like, didn't have a lot of answers for us.
He recommended one that we've heard of, and another one that we hadn't, which I want to try.
So he said Keep Cup. That was his favorite.
Those. Yeah.
I don't prefer those because... They have a rubber top, which is not. I don't
also
like.
tastes weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to give me delicious things out of weird tasting stuff?
Surfaces, yeah. Maybe they have other tops.
Right. Maybe they do.
Yeah.
But I don't think so.
And then what was the other one he recommended? Do you remember what it was called?
From the brand, I don't know how to pronounce it, MIIR.
Oh, like mirror.
They have like a bunch of outdoor gear and like water.
Is it more like
things.
ceramic tin type, which is better? But even like those ceramic cups you have can sometimes give off a weird.
The ceramic seems to be the best bet if you're going to go for it.
Yeah.
And so I have a travel from Hydro Flask that keeps things weirdly warm. I've got like a knockoff of the Yeti thing.
Do you like the taste wise? Did it work okay?
No.
Yeah, you can still taste it.
It's not the optimal. It's not like what I want.
So weird.
Yeah.
So
I would never be at home and drink out of it.
Right.
You know, and I think that would be the
true. It's like, why should I have to
sacrifice?
Yeah, like lower my standards for traveling with this coffee. So what was that expensive one you found?
Oh, I found a lot of expensive ones actually.
So we basically this segment is called Gilding the Lily, which if you are the first time listening to this season, it's things that are so extra, so much over the top, but yet enough. So
one of Ben's suggests. So Ben hangs out in the coffee world.
Yeah.
And like deep in the coffee world. And so he was asking some friends the same question because, you know, we had to figure it out. And there was one person who came back with a suggestion of what looks like a coconut plant, fruit, nut,
a coconut.
the shell.
Yeah. Oh, shell, yeah.
But cut into a cup. So you're essentially drinking out of a coconut shell, which
is that travel well?
Well, I was like, it still has a fully open top, so just like a mug,
worse.
Right? But it looks
that's cool.
It'd be like it looked kind of cool.
So okay, all right.
So that's
pretty extra.
Not going to happen, but that's fine. Then there is currently the most expensive, but I would say like, well, I'll explain this. So the one that we found, there's one that's $150. It's called the Ember, and that's a temperature controlled travel mug.
Our friend Jess Rogers has one, I think.
For real?
Yeah.
So you can program it to be the temperature you want it to be, and it will hold your coffee at that temperature.
I also told your mom to get those for you, get that for you for Christmas, but I also told her to get you Allbirds, and she got you Allbirds.
I feel like as a son, I'd be worth both of those things, but that's fine.
Your mom was gonna roll her eyes at you.
Yeah. Sorry, Mom. So there's that. That still comes with a travel lid, which doesn't make me feel like I still think.
Yeah.
I don't care about keeping my coffee the perfect temperature all the time. That's not what I struggle with.
Right.
I struggle with it being delicious.
Yeah.
And truth, if your coffee's real, real good,
which yours is,
and it gets a little cooler, it's still really good.
Yeah. True. I don't need it to be almost to the point where your mug, your travel mug,
it stays too hot too long.
Is it the Hydro Flask?
Yeah.
It stays hot. It's too hot. It's like you have to lower the temperature before putting it in.
The cool thing about the Ember travel mug is that you can buy a ceramic like top for it, but not for when you travel. Like it just screws onto the top, but it's kind of like the lip of the mug.
Yeah.
So it still would have the spill ability of if you're traveling.
But not as much as an open mug.
Not as much as an open mug. Yeah, still as much as an open mug. But it just, that's probably like the best option would be snag an Ember, keep stuff the temperature you want it to be at, put the ceramic ring on top.
Yeah.
That seems like $150 for a travel mug is annoying. And you're like, is it worth it over just like having the mugs?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like, can I just bring some saran wrap?
Yeah, you just put saran wrap over the top of a coffee mug.
And then take it off when I want to drink it.
Honestly, that might not be horrible.
I know.
We should try that.
Let's try it. We're going to try it, everyone. It'll be the least extra thing, but maybe the most.
Okay, so then that sent me down rabbit hole of trying to find
the most expensive. Just
the most expensive, because I was like, the Ember's $150, and I was like, I want to find like the best thing. And I was inspired by, there's a design group in San Francisco. I don't know, they're all over the place, but they're called IDEO. And one of their problems they tried to solve was, how do we keep people from throwing away toothbrushes? And one of the solutions was, let's make toothbrushes like so extra, made out of gold leaf, whatever. They're so expensive that people reuse them instead of throw them away into the ocean. And so I was kind of thinking it that way of like, you and I have bought a lot of travel mugs in our life.
Yes.
To if we just bought the best one ever and it was very expensive, that would still be better.
Yeah.
So then the Ember was like the most expensive thing I could find. I was like, someone's got to be selling stuff for more than $150. Somebody has to have the same problem. Like the coffee people in the world,
right?
You know, our friend Ben works for a company that sells like a $4,000 home espresso machine. So there's people who are obsessive about coffee
and quality.
So someone's got to have this mug.
Right.
I couldn't find it. But what I did find was something almost more interesting. Was the most expensive coffee mug ever was sold in 2007.
Yeah.
No, 2009. It was auctioned and it sold for $100,000.
What does it look? Why?
It looks like this. It
looks like something from like the Egyptians.
Yeah. Its face represents Roman god Janus.
Is it made
the
of
god
gold?
of gates and doors? It is made of gold.
Janus doesn't seem like an Egyptian like goddess name.
It was Roman.
Roman.
Right.
Yeah. Isn't Janus on Friends?
That's way different.
What was it? What if it was her face?
That's amazing. But so this whole thing is either a guy found it in his.
Oh, so it's like actually okay.
Yeah, this guy bought it from a scrap metal dealer, and then went and got it checked out.
I like that they're like selling it as like a coffee mug. Like it's probably like an urn.
No, it's a mug of drinking of some kind.
Oh, okay.
So there's that one. That's the most expensive, $100,000. I don't think we'll get that one.
Probably not.
No.
It looks like things will spill.
Yeah, it seems like it just still doesn't solve our problem. The oldest was from the Stone Age, which is theoretically, so the first mugs ever come from 10,000 BC or BCE, more precisely.
Okay.
Found in China and Japan. So these are made of bone. So back in the day, somebody had this same problem that you and I have, where they're like, how do I get this liquid to be how I want it to be?
Yeah.
And they couldn't do it. And so they're making mugs out of bone.
Like human bones?
I would like to think probably not human bones.
True.
To the best of my knowledge. It looks like it is more, I would say it looks like it's more animal of some kind.
That's weird.
So,
nah.
Not going to do that.
I think we're just going to try the Ember.
Right, we can try that.
Know. Is there a place where we can like put liquid in one and like tip it?
Yeah, try and dump it.
Yeah. We should ask
we
my
do
friend
a test?
Jess. We should see if Jess has the ceramic top.
What if we just kind of like start shaking, holding them, and just see what kind of coffee slashes out?
I can't wait.
That'd be a good test.
We'll keep everyone posted on.
Or someone could post us if they wanted to keep us posted, because they're like, this coffee mug, travel mug is the best.
Exactly.
I would give out, if someone refers
and
one.
it has to fit in a car holder.
Right. Yeah. None of this. It's gotta work.
It can't be bulbous.
It can't be a bulbous mug.
So that is our Gilding the Lily segment for this week. We're on a quest for the best travel mug out there. Keep us in the loop, peeps.
Peace.